Well, today is a bittersweet day. It is Thursday, July 28th, 2022, and it's my last day in Uganda. As you can see behind me, I'm at Lake Victoria in Entebbe, Uganda. So I've been in Rwanda and Uganda for the past 6 weeks, learning about peace and conflict. I've spoken with many survivors of the genocide, victims as well as perpetrators in Rwanda. And as far as Uganda is concerned, I've spoke with many people who were abducted by the LRA, the Lord's Resistance Army. And I've also spoken with perpetrators slash victims who were soldiers in the Lord's Resistance Army. But initially they were victims, and then they moved up in command within that rebel force. So I received testimonies from all kinds of people. I really feel like I learned a lot about peace and conflict, whether it be the Gacaca courts in Rwanda or the Motoput reconciliation process here in Uganda. I think that both have really moved beyond their differences, although the governments in both countries, Rwanda and Uganda respectively, still have authoritarian governments, still may not be democracies, still may be oppressing political opposition. And so there's a lot left wanting in that area. As for myself, one of the goals that I hoped to obtain or attain while I was here was getting a little more, figuring out how to resolve ethnic and political differences, so that I can take that information back to the U.S. with me, because we're such a polarized country at this point. And definitely we need a remedy. I'm not sure I found that remedy here. I would say in Rwanda, one of their strategies is to remove the Hutu and Tutsi identities and replace it with a Rwandan identity. In Uganda, I'm not really sure if they have a strategy for trying to heal the enmity between a lot of the different ethnic groups. But I'm not sure those differences were as sharp as they were in Rwanda. I think here with Joseph Kony acting as a resistance army against the Ugandan government, the ICC, the International Criminal Court, took control of some of the more prominent cases, maybe the ones who were more culpable, like Dominique, and eventually they would hope to get their hands on Joseph Kony. But a lot of healing and forgiveness and reconciliation has taken place in the communities in Uganda, and I think that that was very effective. I think that the criminal justice system in the U.S. is lacking in the participation of the community during the punishment phase of um, of justice in our courts. And I think that's one thing that can actually improve upon relationships, not only between you know victims and offenders within the community, but also between the community and law enforcement. We've been seeing a lot of turmoil between, or and a lot of mistrust between these two parties, and so we need to find ways to rectify that. But as for my trip here, I think I this was the best course I've ever taken in my life. I think that the experiential learning that I underwent here by living with two different homestay families, one in Kigali, Rwanda, and one in Gulu City, Uganda. I lived for 2 weeks with each of those families. And so I was totally immersed in the culture, totally immersed in the traditions. I think that that type of learning is extremely intense because it's 24/7. You never, even though you may not be in class the full day, when you leave class and you go back to your homestay families, you have to actually, or you do constantly learn, whether it be the language, whether it be the culture, whether it be about politics, different social practices. Is just so much inundating you constantly. And it did fatigue me at times. I'm used to having a lot of space. I'm used to being a very private, introspective type of person. And so having to constantly entertain, to constantly meet and greet people and have conversations and become emotionally invested, it was it was a bit taxing. I will admit that. But overall, I do think it was a very positive experience. I was outside of my comfort zone, so to speak, and that allowed me to grow and to learn in ways that I'm, like the ivory tower classroom would not uh, would not grant me. And so I'm very thankful for that. And I know that I can take the lessons that I learned here, the information, just the entire curriculum that I was exposed to here, introduced to here, immersed in here. I can take that back with me to Yale University. I can also implement different things in my life, for as being humble, for as understanding the privileges that I am afforded every day, and that many of us take for granted. Um, all of those things are at the forefront of my mind now. Um, as I go back to New Haven, Connecticut, and prepare myself for another semester at Yale University, um, I just feel like I am a different person. And I am thankful for everything that these two countries and the people within these two countries. I'm thankful for them welcoming me and treating me with the utmost respect and kindness, compassion, and showing me um, how different people live uh, across these two countries. So, saying goodbye to Entebbe right here at Lake Victoria. We got a chance to to boat across that lake yesterday. It's a massive lake, huge. Looks like a small ocean, honestly. Um, but I had a chance to go on the Nile River, something that was another site for me that was very historical. I mean, we've heard so much about the Nile River, whether it be through National Geographic, whether it be through the Bible, whether it be through studying, the Egyptians. I learned a lot. It's not all about Egypt. There's a vigorous argument here that the Nile starts in either Rwanda, Uganda, or Ethiopia. And that argument has not been settled, and I'm sure it won't be settled anytime soon. But it was just so great to be in two countries outside of the U.S. This is my first international travel, and I hope that I will be privileged enough to visit other countries and learn more about cultures and geography that is greatly different from what I'm accustomed to back in the U.S. So, hey, signing off. Peace.